समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
On Cut the Clutters, sometimes we like to surprise you. In fact, we end up surprising ourselves also with the choice of subjects. So much news is happening, and we are talking about Bhakra Dam. Don't worry, I'm not telling you about the history of Bhakra Dam. You know all of that because almost all of us in all parts of the country read about this dam, this project at some point during our school years, because Jawaharlal Nehru, while inaugurating the dam, called these the temples of modern India. In fact, he said you can call it a temple, a mosque, or a gurdwara. These are the temples of modern India. So we know about that. We are not talking about the past or the history. We are talking about the present and the future. And that's the important thing. Now, Bhakra Dam has been standing since 1963. Since 1963, this is the tallest gravity dam in all of Asia. Tallest gravity dam. A gravity dam is different from other dams. Terry Dam, for example, is taller than Bhakra Dam, but that is not a gravity dam. As we go along, I will in a very cursory manner try to explain the difference to you, because if I go any deeper, that will take me into the area of civil engineering, and I'll be out of my depth. Sorry for the pun. We are talking about dams and water storage. Bhakra Dam has been there now for 63 years. Bhakra Dam transformed North India, definitely Punjab, Haryana, parts of Rajasthan. The Indira Gandhi Canal, which goes right through Rajasthan, also draws water ultimately from the Satluj Beas system. Satluj River, which is dammed by Bhakra Dam, ultimately also receives water from Beas River. That's why the system is called Bhakra Beas Management Board. Now, this Bhakra Dam, the origin of the entire series of dams and barrages, which starts high up and then goes right up to the India-Pakistan border near Firozpur at a place called Harike Pattan. Harike Pattan is the final confluence of Satluj and Beas, and that's where all the water is trapped, and it's put into the Indira Gandhi Canal, the Rajasthan branch, and also the Firozpur branch, and the third canal called Machu Canal. The idea is that none of this water should go to Pakistan, because as we know, India has the full right, 100% right over the waters of the three eastern rivers of Punjab. Three eastern rivers being Satluj, Beas and Ravi. The western rivers are Indus, Chenab and Jhelum. Those are the ones which were earlier governed by the Indus Water Treaty, which India has now put in abeyance. That picture we need to know. Now, this Bhakra Dam, this starts off a system. Bhakra Dam is at an altitude. This is in a gorge. This is when the mighty Satluj River is just falling down a big gorge. What happens when a river falls down a gorge? It gives you the opportunity to generate that fall, that power into electricity. And that is what happens. When it was formed, it was one of the biggest power generating dams in the world, definitely the biggest in India, 1500 megawatts. Over time, however, its purpose has been much more irrigation, also in some ways flood control. Right below Bhakra Dam is Nangal, just 13 kilometers below it. That is a stabilizing system, which means all this turbulent water falls from Bhakra and the Nangal barrage then stabilizes it. Bhakra has a big, huge reservoir. Now, big, huge reservoir creates its own problems. Think about this. Everybody needs rest. You need rest. I need rest. If any of us work 24 hours a day, maybe we can do it once, twice, thrice, maybe 3 days running, 4 days, but okay, if you're superhuman, maybe 5 days, right? But at some point, you will need rest. I'm joking, nobody can work 24 hours or 1, 2, 3 days like that. But at any point, any human being will need rest. Any machine also needs rest. Your car engine needs rest, the air conditioner needs rest, the refrigerator needs rest, the railway engine needs rest. Definitely the animals need rest. Beasts of burden, bullocks, horses all need rest. And definitely if you have a cat for a pet, it needs rest all the time. But do dams need a rest? That was the long preamble was to bring you to this point, to the question, do dams need a rest? A dam which is filled with so much concrete, does that dam need a rest? The fact is, yes, it does. And what happens if it doesn't get rest? One of the outcomes of a dam not getting rest, and I will explain to you what rest is, one of the outcomes is that the dam may get tired, the dam may start tilting. Even a human being, if they carry too much weight on their backs, they tilt, and if they keep on doing it all the time, that tilt becomes sort of permanent and problematic. That is what happens to dams also, because think of a dam. However powerful a dam might be, it's holding back so much water. If you look at the Bhakra Dam, it's holding back water that makes a lake of 90 kilometers long. It's devoured a lot of land there, including the entire Bhakra village, and that 168.34 square kilometers storage of water is then being held back by this dam. As a consequence, this dam has begun to tilt a little bit, and that's the reason we are featuring this issue in today's Cut the Clutter, because there is no point doing it when the floods come, when the reservoir is full, because the time to make some changes and do some damage control is now. I will explain to you how this happens. When a dam is built, the engineers decide, it's a complex thing. This dam was built a long time back. This was conceptualized by the great Jat leader Sir Chotu Ram in 1923. In 1944, Sir Chotu Ram, as Revenue Minister of Combined Punjab, what was then a big territory, he signed an agreement with the Raja of Bilaspur to build this dam on this gorge, which he had identified. 1945, the project report was ready. 1948, the construction work started. However, Nehru ceremonially poured concrete in 1955. 1963, the dam was completed. When engineers design these dams, they don't design them for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, one generation, two generations. They design them for at least a couple of 100 years. These are such humongous investments. They cost so much. They also carry an environmental and human cost. People are dislocated. Also, so much forest is submerged. That's why you must get value for all of this. When engineers design these dams, they also take into account the factor of pressure. The pressure and strength, how strong the dam is and how much pressure or weight will the dam face. All these calculations are done by civil engineers. They are smart people, that this is my reservoir, this is my maximum storage, this is the amount of weight that my dam will have to withstand. Now what happens is, when you hold back this much weight, you will tilt a little bit. You as in the dam might tilt a little bit, because you cannot be, because a structure cannot be fully stationary, Now, in the larger scheme of things, given the size of the dam, Bhakra Dam, for example, is 190.5 meters or 625 feet at the bottom, at the base, at the foundation, and is about 518 meters and 70 and 100 feet at the top. Now, when it holds back all of this water, it tilts just a little bit, and engineers make provision for that. They also put maximas to that. So the maximum tilt that Bhakra Dam is designed to take is 1.03 inch. 1.03 inch for a massive structure like that. That's a lot. Bhakra Dam lately has shown a higher tilt than that. Bhakra Dam, in fact, in November last year, tilted 1.177 inch. That is way beyond its limit of 1.03 inch. And that is what caused some degree of alarm. In 2010, you remember that was the big monsoon year. It was also the year of Commonwealth Games. That's when the Commonwealth Games village also got flooded, and monsoon continued well into October, just when the games were beginning. In that monsoon, water had almost topped the dam, and then the dam had tilted 1.05 inch. Even that caused an alarm. Instead of the maximum limit of 1.03, it had tilted to 1.1 or 1.10, and then floodgates were opened and further filling of the reservoir was stopped as a precaution. Now, last year, this has seen 1.177 inch, and that is what has caused a concern. That caused a concern. That got Anurag Thakur, who's an MP from Himachal Pradesh, to ask a question in Parliament on 19th of March this year, to which Shripad Nayak, Minister of State for Power, he replied, Anurag Thakur's question was about the tilt is 1.177 inch, a sign of danger. What needs to be done about it? And that is something that later Bhakra Beas Management Board Chairman Manoj Tripathi spoke about to the Tribune first and then to Hindustan Times. He said that there is no immediate threat to the dam. However, it is true that the permissible tilt is 1.03 inches and the dam has been touching 1.177 inches. Not alarming. Please don't start packing your bags. Please don't go to any panic stations. But this is a sign that the dam has been taking too much weight. And I will soon come to you with the question I had raised earlier, do dams also need a rest? The chairman, Manoj Tripathi, says that, okay, this is not a cause for alarm, but it's a cause for concern, and we are assessing what's happening. We are taking preventative measures, and one of the measures also is the signing of a consultancy contract with IIT Roorkee. IIT Roorkee is the premier civil engineering center in India, in Asia, one of the best in Asia, globally reputed. So, Bhakra and Beas Management Board has signed an agreement with them, a consultancy contract, to give a report within 6 months to 1 year on what to do about this tilt or how to protect the dam or to strengthen the dam. 3 crores is being given to IIT Roorkee and another 1.3 crores has been allocated to a foreign consultant should one be needed. These are also the answers that Shripad Nayak has given in his parliament reply to Anurag Thakur. A somewhat more explicit statement I have seen quoted from the Bhakra Beas Management Board Secretary B.S. Sinmar, and who says, and I quote, the deflection of the dam has always been a baseline concern, but now for the first time we have decided to get a deep study done to know the real situation. I told you the sort of crisis that had emerged in 2010 when rainfall had been so much that they had to open the floodgates and stop the filling of the reservoir. Now let's understand the dam a little bit. This is a gravity dam. What's a gravity dam? I told you the Terry Dam is taller than Bhakra Dam, but Bhakra Dam is the tallest gravity dam in India and the tallest gravity dam in Asia. In fact, Pakistan is now building Diamar Basha Dam, which when it's built will be taller than Bhakra. The Pakistanis have started building Diamar Basha with help from the Chinese. That's where a couple of incidents have also taken place. That will go to 272 meters or 892 feet. When that is built, that will be the tallest dam in Asia. Similarly, the Chinese are building one on the Brahmaputra, Yarlung Tsampo, in the Great Gorge before the river enters into India, that we spoke about in another episode of Cut the Clutter. We don't quite know how high that might go, but with the Chinese in a river like that, with so much possibility of producing power, you really don't know. The other tall gravity dams right now in Asia are Longtam in China, 216.5 meters, Three Gorges Dam, 181 to 185 meters. Bhakra itself is 226 meters. Gravity dam means it stands on its own weight, filled in with massive amounts of concrete, stones, and masonry. In contrast, say the Terry Dam. Terry Dam is like an embankment dam. The engineering in an embankment dam is very different from a gravity dam. One more difference between a gravity dam can have a very narrow width, and that's how it makes the best use of the available gorge in a mountain. An embankment dam like Terry Dam usually tends to be very long. Now, what happened with all the water that a dam like Bhakra stores in its reservoir? As we've seen, it is quite a small dam, quite a narrow dam. It is not a humongously wide dam. That means all of the pressure of this water is on this structure. Now, the dam is designed to carry the maximum weight. But is it designed to carry the maximum weight 24 by 7 by 365 by every year? No. The design is such that engineers calculate that at one point the dam will be filled to its capacity. Then in the course of time, you will keep using that water because India is a monsoonal country. You will keep using that water and the water level will keep going down. As it goes down, the dam will get some rest. That rest is essential for the dam's health, just as rest is essential or vital for our health. The minimum level to which the dam can go and to which the dam should go every year usually is 1452 feet. However, that has not been happening for 10 years. For 10 years, India has had reasonably good monsoons. As a result, water level has never gone to the minimum level, minimum drawdown level of 1472. So 1472 is the level to which the reservoir should go down in lean season. That amounts to the dam getting a little bit of sleep, the dam getting a little bit of rest. But for the past 10 years, you can say India has had the good fortune of having decent monsoons. They've been big monsoons, high monsoons, not very high monsoons, but we really haven't had a bad drought year. We've had some poor monsoon years, but not really bad drought year. As a consequence, therefore, the reservoir level has not gone to that 1472 feet level, and the dam has had to bear more weight through the year. It hasn't got its own little power nap, but it doesn't have to carry so much weight. What also happens is then you bring down the dam level to its minimum. Then you can also carry out some desilting operations. Now, if the level is so high, how can you do any desilting? And silt has been filling up this dam. In fact, since the dam was built in 1963, it has lost 25 to 26% of its storage capacity because silt is coming down from the Himalayas. The dam was designed because the dam had created a space like dead storage space for accommodating silt. That calculation, engineering calculation, was that annually 33.61 million cubic meters of silt will come every year. For that, margin was kept in the reservoir. However, with deforestation, silting has been increasing. So today, about 38 to 39 million cubic meters of silt is coming down. That is how the reservoir's water storage capacity is coming down. I told you about 25-26% has already been lost. Last year, the Jal Shakti Ministry set up a 10-member committee to look at the prospects of desilting the dam as well. It's a little bit ironical, isn't it, that we are now saying that because we put the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance, we can start desilting in the western rivers because the Pakistanis were putting objections and not letting us do it. Whereas the fact is that even within our own rivers, from our own reservoirs, we have not carried out any desilting operation. However, this is going to be a very complex one. Again, for that to happen, you have to go down, you have to bring the reservoir down to minimum drawdown levels. And that is something that Shripad Naik also said in Parliament answer. He said that negotiations are now on with the various stakeholder states. It will be Punjab, it will be Haryana, it will be Himachal to some extent, and Rajasthan, because all of them need this water. So do they want this water preserved just in case there is a bad monsoon or monsoon comes too late, or will they risk water levels coming down to 1472 and let some repair work and desilting take place, and also for the dam to get a little bit of rest. Now, before I let you go, I'll just give you some basic data. India is large and small, most of them very small, 6,628 dams. Of the 6,628 of these dams, 6,545 are operational, 83 are under construction. India therefore has the third largest number of dams after China and the US. We'll share with you a couple of graphics that we've taken from the Jal Shakti Ministry website. One will give you a split of the dams by age. This will tell you which dams are how old or what number of dams are how old. And second is specified height wise. And there you will see that dams over 100 meters are just 26. Most of the dams are really low level dams. Now, do dams collapse? Research tells you, and this is also the global data, that tilt is actually responsible for no more than 5% of the dam collapses globally. But if a tilt is combined with other factors, with cracks, with seepage, maybe earthquake, then it becomes a more dangerous factor. And when you're looking at such a big asset holding back so much water, you have to start worrying 100 years before something becomes a crisis. And the crisis may not be 100 years away. And that is why some alarm has been raised now. Seepage, abnormal water levels. Sometimes you can get too much water. And I will give you the examples of 3 significant dam collapses that we have had in India, and you will see how these work. One was the Morbi or Machu Dam collapse in Gujarat. That was on 11th of August 1979. That was a case of suddenly too much water coming in. That was a relatively new dam built in 1972. That dam was designed, say, for X amount of water, but you had such a torrential rain then that the dam had to withstand 2.5 times the water flow for which it had been designed. That dam collapsed, thousands of people died. The second was Koina Dam in 1967, which was sort of obliterated by an earthquake where hundreds of people died, 11th of December 1967. And third, Tista 3, that is recent. You will have memories of pictures that came out of Sikkim, massive damage that it caused. This is when 15 million cubic meters of frozen sediment fell in the Lonak Lake, which feeds this dam, and that led to a disaster. That led to a flow of water which the dam could not withstand. So that water took the dam with it, and the momentum of the dam and the debris going down destroyed everything that came in the way. So you've seen all 3 possibilities. First, simply torrential rain, unexpected torrential rain, bringing 2.5 times the weight of water that the dam was designed for. That was Morbi. Number two, an earthquake taking down Koina. And number 3, Tista, where a catastrophic 15 billion cubic meters, humongous amounts of frozen sediment fell in the Lonak Lake that fed that dam. And that led to the pressure, so the dam collapsed. Dams don't collapse so easily. They are built really strong. However, if you see a little bit of vulnerability develop, the time to fix that is yesterday, not tomorrow. And once again, when you look at Bhakra, the other factor, silting, also becomes very important, because increasingly, and I know it's contradictory, increasingly the water storage capacity of the dam is coming down. And all of the regions that depend on Bhakra water do not want that to happen. And that's why desilting the Bhakra reservoir also is now a top priority.